To this week's Ask the Team, and I can't believe we haven't done this one before. This is probably the question we get asked most, and being estate agents as we are, whether it's friends, family, people on the street, it's a little bit like people asking, how you feeling, what's the weather like. The question we get asked all the time is, what's the market like? It's not an easy answer.
No, and it's not an easy answer because it can be different in different parts of the market, can't it?
It's sometimes apartments are selling well, sometimes they're not selling well at all. Sometimes the higher end, so £1 million unique home market is doing well. Sometimes it's about first-time buyers. We know the economy has a massive impact on that. So at different times of the year, different parts of the market are doing okay and some better than others.
But what I quite like is John and I are very, very different. John's much more analytical than me, and regularly you will do analysis of the market and send that out to our vendors. And I think, although that's not what I would do, I think I have a much... I'm not analytical, so for me it's more about a feeling of how things are going. You're very, very analytical. Everything is based on fact and not on feeling. Yeah. But I think it's good to connect the two, and I think it's good that you have a basis of analysis that you do with our vendors regularly to keep them informed of, so for example, John will look at particular elements of the market. So that might be a price point, or it might be the fact that it's a period house, or the fact that it's a modern house, and look at how that house is performing within the market for that house. So looking at other homes that would be comparable properties.
Yeah, and data is really, really important, and we're experts, and gut feeling and sentiment is really important. But as Lisa said, it needs to be connected with real hard, cold data, because you need to know if what you're doing right, if you're doing some things right or wrong. So if all your competitors' properties are selling, is it something we're doing wrong? If no properties are selling, maybe it's about the market in general and lack of buyers. And although it's good to sort of share your feel for that, often when, it's nice to let your clients know real cold, hard facts in terms of which properties are selling, which price points are selling. Is it the right time to do a price reduction? Is it the right time to look at your marketing? And data feeds into that. Rightmove is, it's the most popular portal out there. It's not the only source of data, but it's one that we rely on quite heavily, because we can get an awful lot of information there in terms of properties that people are clicking on, the properties that are coming to the market and selling. And as Lisa said, if you've got an agent today, they should be feeding you this information on a regular basis, helping you to stay informed.
And just on that, I sat with Sam, our Rightmove account manager, yesterday, and she shared with me some of the stats that she's got for the local area and information about when to do price reductions. I mean, we're not big on price reductions, actually, because if you reduce your price, often that means it takes much longer. The stats show that it's actually harder to get those homes over the line. If you sell a house quickly, then the stats on the completion of the sale of that home are much more. But it was interesting that she was sharing some stats with me that I already knew, because you'd ran similar numbers. I think, although I'm not a statistician and you are.
Well, let's have a look at some of the numbers.
Let's have a look at them.
A little bit of context. We talk about our patch, so that's the area that we operate as an agent. We cover quite a wide area, as most people will know. We are, apart from Italy, we're into North Wales. We are all along the Wirral. We're obviously Chester city centre. We're Cheshire villages. We're down we're across to Frodsham and beyond, and we're down to a place like Malpa. So it's a big area. There's about 230 agents and offices that are operating across that area. So there's an awful lot of competition. That might be an estate agent with 10 offices, or it might be an online agent. So there's a lot of people in that market. That's our patch. If I look at the number of homes that were for sale, and I'm talking resale homes here, not new builds. So the number of resale homes at the beginning of the year were 3,982, and we've seen a 17% increase in that. So at the end of July, we were 4,671. It's grown pretty much month on month. What that means is it has shifted more to a buyer's market, which means that people are quite much more selective. There's more choice out there. You might look at 6 or 7 homes which look fairly similar, but generally it'll be one of those homes might get more attention than others because it will have the right size bedroom, it will have the right size garden, it will be faced the right way. So people are a bit more discerning, and that's made for a slightly more challenging market, certainly in some postcodes and areas and price points.
Yeah. You know, location is it's something that's talked about quite a lot, but it's so true, particularly in a market like this. You know, we're finding there are hot spots for particular areas, and then move a few streets out of a school catchment, for example, and things can change quite considerably. So yeah, location absolutely key at the moment.
One of the price points that we've talked to our clients about for the last sort of year or so is that the £700,000 to £900,000 market has been challenging. It's interesting to dig down on that and see if that's a postcode thing or whether that's a price point thing. I looked at that market from the 1st of January. I looked at CH1 in particular, which felt like probably that was the more challenging postcode. 24% of all homes on the market had sales agreed. If I compare that to CH3, 28%. It's not a huge difference. I expected it to be a little bit more, but again, that tells us a little bit about the differences in postcodes and price points as well. If I look at homes at a higher price point, so homes over £1 million, in CH3, homes 1 million to 1.5 million, 23% of those homes found buyers. In CH1, just 15%, so there's a much bigger gap there across those two postcodes. Interestingly, in CH1, we had all the sales recorded in the 1 million to £1.5 million price bracket. We had all of those sales, which is good for us. That's a pat on the back. And then £2 million, again, thinking about that whole patch that I talked about. So there was just 30 homes on the market this year in the £2 million and above price bracket. Just 4 have had recorded sales, so that's 13%. That's a bit of a tougher market at the moment. There's much more activity in that £1 million to £1.5 million sector. And then if I look at, again, £1 million plus, there were 222 homes for sale this year. We had about 10.8% market share, which again sounds great, but it's not about just market share. It's not about having lots of homes in your shop window. You've actually got to sell them. So we actually sold, so we had the highest number of homes at 10%. We also had the highest number of sales, so we had 15.6% of the sales. So that's telling me that we are selling relatively more of our available homes than any other agent. So that's the most important number for me. It's not been about having the most number of homes. It's about selling more relative to your stock than any other agent. And I think that's the one that we feel quite strongly about. We feel
most passionate about it because that's why, you know, the 9-step plan was written. We follow a recipe for selling homes, and it's very, very similar, the recipe over Unique and over the Homes brand, because you're absolutely right. We're not a listing agent. We want to be the agent that is listing and selling within a quick timescale for all the reasons that I talked about before. So yeah, I hope you found the stats interesting. If John or I, or indeed any of the team, can help with any element of your home move, whether you are thinking about moving or not, you know, we would love to come out and have a cup of tea with you, talk it through. Sometimes people will just call us up and they'll say, I'm thinking about putting an extension on, you know, would you come and see me? Anytime that is the case, so please do give us a call. We'd love to help with any questions that you might have. Our number's 01244 313 900. See you next week.